Which brings me, ladies and gentlemen, to introduce my panel, the Now Generation. I will start off by calling on Isabella. Isabella is the managing director of JUMP, and she works with bringing equality for both women and men. And Isabella is just enthusiastic, energetic. It's so electrifying. Welcome, Isabella. And now I would like to call Marta. Marta is the chairman of the Icelandic Scout Association. Now, Marta doesn't like the city so much. And I'm really dying to understand why. Thank you, Marta. And I'd like to call upon a sister, a colleague, Ndapile Bwanausi from Malawi. She's a research assistant at the Lilongwe University of Agriculture. Now, Ndapile, when you meet her for the first time, she's definitely going to say, if you know how to say the word panda, and you can say the word agenda, then you can definitely say Ndapile. Welcome, Ndapile. Then I'd like to call Bahr Thompson. Bahr Thompson is the managing director of Philanthropy Synergos in America. And Anne is bringing on a holistic version to whatever approach, whatever venture she puts her mind and soul into. And Anne is definitely the person you would love to have a conversation with. Thank you. Welcome, Anne. So thank you very much, ladies. And before we start, I would like us to start with a little bit of an exercise. It's called laughing yoga. And in this exercise, you greet the person that is next to you with laughter. So go ahead. Thank you. That was refreshing. Thank you very much. And now I have a question for the ladies, the Now Generation. Taking the whole forum as a whole, what has been so meaningful to you, and how has it impacted your vision of the future? I will start with you, Isabella.
Envisioning the future. I'm sorry, but I will tell the truth. I'm scared. I'm so scared. In order to understand why I'm so scared, maybe it's useful to say who I am. I'm a social entrepreneur because I feel responsible for everything that is happening in the world. So I've always been a social entrepreneur. And I'm an Ashoka fellow for those who know Ashoka. 13 years ago, that was my last project. I've created JUMP. JUMP is about, like was said, equality between women and men at work. We do work with individuals, but we do work with institutions and organizations. Because it's much more than giving the same opportunities to thrive to women as to men. It's much more than that. It's really transforming the organizations, transforming the workplaces into more respectful workplaces, more inclusive workplaces. Because most of the companies don't understand they do discriminate even if they don't know it, because their culture is not neutral. It gives some privileges to some of us. So I'm working so much with them because I want to change the economy. Because the more companies do change, are more inclusive, we can change the economy. And if we can change the economy, we can change the world. I think that the inequality between women and men is really about the matrix of all inequalities. We do live in a patriarchy society since now 8,000 years. And patriarchy is really a system of multiple dominations. White people over black people, North over South, heterosexuals over homosexuals, and so more. But the inequality between women and men is really at the heart of it. Thanks to the feminists, we must celebrate that here in this part of the world and in this period, we have, for the first time in the history of humanity, we have the same right as men. But that does not mean that we have real equality. Ecology and feminism have the same values. It's exactly about the same vision, the shift of society from a society of domination to a society of collaboration. And there is more and more resistance to it. We see what's happening nowadays with Trump, with Bolsonaro, Kaczynski, and so many others. It's really the rise of fascism. And I'm so scared about it. So I came here in order to understand how I can resist, how I can protect myself. We are in a burning platform. I don't want to burn with it, my goodness, because the world needs all of us. The world needs me. And I've understood here that it's about changing my being, but it's a very difficult journey to transform my being into a more loving being in order to resist these difficult times that are coming. So I'm very humble, and I'm still really trying to learn in order to protect myself, in order to protect more the others.
Okay, me. So I'm going to pick up on a few key things you said, because they're very relevant to me and to what I've experienced across the past 3 days. And I think what's beautiful about what's here is the sacredness of each of us as individuals, the sacredness of of what's inside of each of us as unique and being honored. And it's been extraordinary to sit in groups with people and have no idea what any of us actually do in our day jobs. And at Synergos, we talk about being a reflection of the world we wish to create. And to me, the world in this room is a world of equality, where we don't see how we're all different on the outside, but we connect with each other on the inside. And that actually brings me great hope, because I sit there some days, and I used to be an avid listener to Radio 4 when I lived in the UK, NPR in the US. I don't turn on the radio anymore at 5 a.m. because, to be honest, it gets me off on my day angry. And I just start yelling at it. And who wants to start their day like that? I'd rather start it shaking your hand laughing. So I think what's been beautiful here is harmony. I have always thought of as a horizontal thing. To your point about holistic. I've never seen the world in vertical buckets. And I come from the corporate world, and I can tell you, being a change agent who saw things in a horizontal world was not an easy way to be. You are up against resistance all the time. What I feel here in harmony is a new way of thinking of harmony, and it's about belongingness. It's about our sense of identity that comes from belongingness. But to feel part of belonging and to feel connection, we need to find that sacred peace within ourselves. And what's beautiful for me about this, about having joined Synergos, which is a nonprofit, is also this notion that we begin with inner work to solve outer problems. And I find here that we are starting with outer, but going to inner and outer, and that iterative process has been beautiful. And it gives me hope for where we can be in the world. So maybe I might be able to listen to the radio. I don't think so, but I will try again on Monday. But I feel really optimistic now, and I have to say, there have been many days where I have been equally as frightened, but the inner light that I see emanating from this room, and it's not because we're just now behind big windows, is beautiful. And if that inner light can continue to expand out as each of you talk to someone and recognize the person you're talking to as sacred as well, and start approaching each of your conversations with this person has something inside themselves that's sacred, and that notion that we are not outside of nature. Nature is not separate to us, but I love that we've been talking about we are part of nature. And if we see ourselves as part of that beautiful ecosystem that I experienced in one of my groups on day one, and we see how when that ecosystem, one person dies, it accelerates faster, but when one person came to life, who else was in that group with me? How quickly did everyone come back to life? It was beautiful. So if we can recognize what's sacred inside each of us and bring out that light and bring everything back to light, Gaia will also come back to light with us. So I feel great hope. Thank you.
Okay. When I was first told of the Spirit of Humanity Forum, I didn't know what to expect. And I was told, oh, you should go and speak at the forum on a panel. I was like, okay, I'll do it. And then I was like, what am I going to say, you know? But being here for the past 3 days has just been something else. It has been different from me. For me, it has been something that I've never experienced before. And I must say that to listen to so many amazingly accomplished people talking about how they're bringing light to the world is just, I don't know, amazing is the word that I can think about. When I think about where I come from, I'm just going to pick up one point that you said, that we need to start to look at ourselves as part of nature. I think about how we live in a world right now that humans think they're humans and nature is nature. And we're so disconnected in so many ways. And we're all talking about environmental degradation, destruction of the environment, climate change, and that there's all this destruction that's going on that we're failing to see human degradation. I mean, the human race is growing in numbers, but we're shrinking in terms of connection. We're shrinking in terms of compassion and all the values that we should uphold. And that's something that when you really think about, you really become scared. But being at this forum has given me hope. Hope is the word that I would like to really bring out. It has shown me that there are people in the world that go back to those values and think about them and see how they can bring light to the world. And that's all that we need. We must learn to connect not only to ourselves, but to people around us. Yesterday, they were talking about how we usually see life in the frame that we live in. We must strive to connect to more than what we know. There's so many things happening around the world, and if we're not moved by them, we cannot go anywhere. We have to be moved by what other people are experiencing, the pain that they feel. We have to be moved by it. We might not be able to feel the exact same pain, but we should be able to know where we can help. And that's what coming together in this forum shows me, that there are people that can care about other people's feelings, and it's something that we can use in our everyday life, in our work, in the corporate world, in projects, as a scout. So it has really given me hope, and coming from this forum, I envision a future where people are more connected. They're more connected to themselves, they're more connected to others, and they're more connected to nature. We're all human, and we're all connected, and together we can do something about it. Thank you.
Thank you. I have to say, as a young person who is also a leader of a national youth organization, which is also operating all around the globe, called the Scouts and Guides. Is someone in here a scout or a guide? No. Perfect. So you know that wherever we come from in the world, it's the same values. We agree that we want to base our life on, and that's how you become a scout. And they are very simple because that's easier. It's all we need is easy language, and we have kids from age of 7 and up, and they're all around the world in every country except 6, sharing the same values. So we often also say one world, one promise. And I find this very useful and helpful and a safe environment, because when I meet someone, we know each other's values. Well, of course, we are not all perfect, but I know that they want to do their best in living up to these values. What I find missing so often, all the time, and actually like I'm feeling terrified. I have never been working on a big workplace or something because they lack values on the outside, at least. Sometimes you may see a poster on the wall, this is our values, but you don't see it, you don't feel it, it's just empty. And as a country, as a nation, we could, if we would agree on which are our values, we do say, yes, we have these values or whatever, but we never say exactly what those values are. And when was the last time, you spoke to someone about their values? It's more like that you disagree with their opinions or this or that. But when it comes to the values, it's so powerful. And that's what I really like with this forum, is that we have been thinking a lot or talking about different ways to live up to our values. But what I think is important is that in the future, we are now 7 billion. It is just sooner or later that we have to take the moment to press reset button and start the sharing culture. We have to share. It's not just me and my friends or my family, it's all of us. And resources are going to change a lot within the next decades because of climate crisis. And no matter how hard we are going to fight to slow it down, we are always just going to slow it down. So no matter how that is going to work out, we do need strong characters. And that's what I see here, so many strong characters. And working in the youth sector, it's so terrifying to see all the young people who are trying to fit in the box all the time. And this box is just going to, keep them down until they are, whatever, and 40 years old and decide to break out of this box. And that's 40 years too late. So I want all of us to, next time you have a kid around you or whoever, just push this kid forward into bringing his ideas alive. And no matter how small they are, if it's just, it all has to start somewhere. You can't just start with that when you are 50. And that's also the point. And talking about the future and the now is that as I started with, I'm a leader of a youth organization. Our main goal is to create a better world by creating active citizens. And if I am not going to do it, but I'm still only 25, I'm just saying, yeah, these 7-year-old kids are going to do it. You know, what is it then? And also, all of us here, we, you know, everyone are, for the previous generation, that future generation they had all the hopes for. So we are all part of this future generation that is going to fix everything. So we have to stop postponing it and just do it. You know, even though it's going to be baby steps, no matter, you know, whatever. It's just, yes, do it.
Okay, I know you love to hear from them, so I'm not given the opportunity now to ask them more questions, but luckily you are. So by show of hands, maybe we'll take 2 or 3 questions. Just 2 to 3 questions to the lovely now generation. There's one at the back.
I would love to hear what's your biggest takeaway from the forum. Like, what's the single biggest thing that you feel you have learned from the past 3 days? Something that really resonated with the forum.
Want me to start? So it's hard to say what the biggest takeaway is, because every time I thought I had identified a takeaway, I had a conversation with someone else that gave me a bigger takeaway. But I'll just repeat a bit of our conversation yesterday, because she had a wow moment based on something I said, and I think it actually goes to something you're talking about. So I have a challenge with the word difference, because I come from a background in brand strategy, so words are very big with me, and words carry energy. And if you look at the root of the word difference, it comes from the 14th century. And the word difference means apartness. And I get concerned that we're talking about difference all the time, because I think we're creating an energy that's creating more apartness. And so when I say, notice what's sacred, we also need to notice how we're all so similar. Someone before was saying they had a conversation, it was 85% or 90%. They saw, 98% of how we're similar. So when you sit and have a conversation with someone who you think you're different from, start with what's similar. So this is and it is a takeaway, because I kept hearing the word, and I'm like, this word bothers me, and I don't know why. So I went right to an etymology dictionary and discovered why. So I think part of the challenge is, regardless of the color of your skin, if you can walk, if you can see, whatever it is, the outside of us, people try to make the inside conform, which is what puts us in those boxes, because they can't change your color, or if you have an arm, or if you can see, but they can change how you think, and they can change what's inside of you, or they can suppress it. So to me, if we start focusing on the sacredness, which Emily, I saw her somewhere there, and they really resonated with me, in each of us, that makes us unique, and we honor that. And that is actually probably my biggest takeaway, because I learned that in my very first breakout group. And I think it's beautiful, and if we can honor that and think of similarity and uniqueness from the inside out, not what separates us, we will have children who feel honored every moment of their days. So that's mine.
For me, I think it would be the stubborn optimism. I really connected to that. It's something Yosun said, it's do or die, right? We have to do it. Try or die, yes. We have to do it. We have no choice but to do it. I mean, there's no other way around it. We just have to get up and do it. That's it. So the stubborn optimism part, I really connected to it, and it's such a powerful thing that I'm going home with. Yeah.
What I will remember 10 years from now from this conference was someone in the panel, I don't remember the name, sorry, said it's something about it's not going to be easy to be a leader today. There are a lot of challenges, but that's how it is. And I really took it to me, and again, it's like, who said things are supposed to be easy anyway? And it was a really, really good reminder, because most of us here, we are not hungry. We get our food, we get our bread, we have our milk and bread. So we should be the people who have the energy and time to do the changes that are needed.
So I'm 54 and I've dedicated my whole life to that precisely, but I forgot myself. And I destroyed my health. It's what I understood from being here for 3 days. And I have to read it because it's not embedded yet. How can I be a greater force for good if I'm not doing good to me? It's about the transformation, courage, the courage to fight, which I have, my goodness, I have it. But transform it to the courage to use my inner state of peace. Use my inner state of peace. That means that I must love myself much more. I must respect myself much more. I think it's very complicated for every human being, but I can assure you that it's even much more complicated for women, because we have a specific position in the society which is to serve the others and to forget about ourselves. And it's about taking back that respect first to who we are. Wow, I'm not there, but I will be.
Time, wow. Time is really not on our side, but you've heard from the lovely ladies, you've heard the energy that they have and the values that they want to carry into the future. So in a nutshell, in a word that I really, really do like, wow. And to end off this panel, let's do the yoga exercise again.